Okay, good evening. We will call to order the regular monthly meeting of the City of Helotes Planning and Zoning Commission. It is November the 7th, 2017, 7 o'clock PM. I'd ask the commission's secretary to call the roll, please.
Greg Michelle,
I'm here.
Mike McLaughlin, Jason Whitman.
Here.
Ron Haza, Joe Edmond, Richard Hawk,
Here.
Jeff Wade,
Here.
Mario Rios.
Here.
And we have Ernest Cruz from city staff here tonight. And we do not, I believe, have any citizens to be heard. So we can move to our first action item, which is regarding the minutes from last month's meeting, the October 3rd meeting, which you found in your materials. If there are any comments, questions, edits, please bring those to our attention now. Or we can have a motion. I don't know if we have a, Ernest, did Selena leave an original copy of the minutes with you by any chance?
That's for October 3rd, right?
Yeah. Great, we will use that one. We'll use this one, okay. Is there a motion?
Mr. Chairman, I'll make a motion to approve the minutes as shown.
Is there a second?
I'll second.
All in favor of approving the minutes as submitted for the October 3rd, 2017 meeting, please signal aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Minutes are approved. They can get back with us if this, you need a different copy of those. I'll leave this here for- okay. All right, item 5 this evening is discussion and action on a request by Richard Cramp Jr. For approval of wall signage pursuant to Municipal Code of Ordinances, Chapter 98, Section 72, subparagraph G6B2I, that is for zoning in Old Town Helotes Special District, commercial signs projecting wall, hanging, or in or on windows located at 14893 Bandera Road. So are you, anybody here representing for that business? Nope, okay. And we should have found you should have found in your packet of material, the request as well as the item request form from city staff. Without any representative here for the business, we can talk among ourselves if there are any comments or questions in advance of a motion. So I open the floor for that, if there are questions or
I had
comments.
one question,
Go right ahead.
Commissioner. I believe this is a double-sided building. Was this just one sign and facing Bandera Road, if I understand that correctly?
Let's see, find the request form here.
Oh, it looks like it.
Yep. One walnut sign. Joe, I'm afraid we're getting a lot of feedback off that microphone. Joe, do you think we can kind of get you?
So it doesn't rub on your.
We're getting a lot of feedback, I think, from it. Sorry. See if that works. Now, don't move. So this appears to be one sign. The only question I had, I'll just put it out there, the very last page shows the lighting. I wasn't sure if that was just, if the light was intentional to be there or not, or if that the location of the sign on it. Ernest, do you happen to know, did you see this request come through to you?
Yes, I had asked that question, and I think Glenn had mentioned that light may have been existing already.
Okay. And it's considered an indirect light, obviously, and it's, goes downward, so.
That's what it looks like is on that back,
On that-
very back page is the existing with no sign, and then on
Yeah.
the page before that
Shows you where it is, yeah.
Shows it with the light, so.
So it's like it's like coming off the overhang, right?
Yes.
Is that what it looks like? Okay. And as we note, that is compliant, so even a bit unusual.
Oh, we're good.
You good?
Yeah, I just realized we didn't get the application.
Yeah, we did. Well, we got this.
Yeah, but we didn't get that. Or the handwritten.
No, it's not, it was only submitted this way.
Yeah,
This was submitted electronically, I presume. Is that,
Yes, sir.
okay.
that's, there isn't a different version of it. Other comments or questions, or a motion would be appropriate too.
Mr. Chair,
Yes.
is there no signage at this location at this time? Is that why this is being brought to our attention?
I presume
so.
that's the case.
I believe there's a new tenant there.
New tenant, new sign.
The new tenant is this CPA Crampy?
That's correct. Yes, sir.
Correct. The applicant would, as you saw from the sign itself.
I'm overlooking the
Cramp.
size of this sign.
Say again, Joe?
I'm overlooking the size of this sign. I can't find it.
It is compliant. It is roughly 3.5 feet by 2 feet, roughly. Which is well within the permissible dimensions.
Oh, okay, okay.
Mr. Chairman, I'll make a motion to approve the request by Richard Crampton Jr., CPA PC, for approval of all signs pursuant to Municipal Code of Ordinances, Chapter 98, located at 14893 Bandera Road,
As submitted, Jeff?
as submitted.
Okay, is there a second?
Second.
Mario, further discussion, Jeff, Mario, or anyone else?
Looks good.
The motion is to approve the request by Richard Crampy Jr. for wall signage pursuant to 9872 G6B2I, that is zoning Old Town Helotes Special District commercial signs projecting wall, hanging, or in or on windows located at 14893 Bandera Road. All in favor of the motion, please signal aye.
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 Opposed? Motion is approved. Next item this evening is discussion and action on a request by Abiso, if I said that correctly, Helotes, for approval of a conceptual design plan for Helotes Point Retail Center located on approximately 4.49 acre lot within the Bandera Oaks subdivision and generally addressed as 12522 Bandera Road. That includes site plan, building design, exterior lighting, and signage. Anyone here representing for that tonight? Okay. Probably in just a second have you come up and address it. But first off, I want to make sure everybody has identified this material in their packet. And note that it's multi-part, so we're dealing with site plan, building design, lighting, and signage on this. Sir, I'd ask you to go ahead if you'd like to come on up and just briefly introduce this and then respond to questions. If you wouldn't mind, just tell us your name and put your business address on record for us.
Okay, my name is Brian Heiner with KFW Engineers and Surveying, and our address is 3421 Paisanos Parkway, Suite 200, San Antonio, Texas, 78231.
And
So-
as you get started, Ernest, would you be able to move ahead to the site plan itself, the location, as he begins? Next one. Yeah, that'd be good right there, just for, have that as a reference. Go ahead.
So what we're doing, it's about 17,000 square foot of retail. That the lot you see there, the 5 acres, is basically about the front half of that faces Bandera Road. So basically just the retail building, associated parking, landscaping, drain and utilities for that site.
So let me open up with some questions, and I'm sure others will have as well. This is, to orient us all, this is on the new property where there will be the car wash and the KFC, correct?
Yes, and the car wash and the KFC are to the right side of that screen, those two smaller lots.
And you all will be sharing the entry off of Bandera.
Yes, that is correct. Between the green outline there and those two smaller lots, that's a shared access that is currently under construction and also will provide utilities along that stretch for this lot we're working on and also the adjacent ones.
And is there an access point for the site further back in the property, or is it just gonna be the one?
No, there will be two access points. There will be one whenever you go in the drive off Bandera Road going in, and then also as you go to the, we'll just call it Plan North, there'll be a second driveway going into that retail center as well to the parking lot behind the building.
And the access for that one, am I not seeing?
And
it?
I have an exhibit here.
I'm
if
sorry.
it-
Okay, I got it, thank you.
So other than the common access drive that shares with the additional lots, there's no single access for just this site. It's a shared access with those remaining lots as well.
And you indicated 17,000 square feet?
Yes, that is
And
correct.
how many businesses are anticipated for the, at this point, if you could say?
Ten laid out on there.
Yes, that's correct, 10
So you think it'll be
tenants.
10
Right.
distinct as opposed to having, say, one tenant with multiple spaces? Okay, let me open it up to others for questions.
Mr. Chairman,
Yes, Ron?
I noticed something on your site plan here. Is there a monument sign on the driveway going in?
No, not on the driveway. The proposed sign is gonna be in the, kind of the mid parking lot. I'm not sure if you'll have this same,
I see it there now, yes.
okay.
Mr. Chair, sir,
Yes, go ahead.
do you have a measurement from like the front of the parking lot to the rear of the rear parking lot? How deep is it gonna be on this lot?
Let me,
Can you say the question one more time, Jeff?
A possible measurement from the front of the parking lot to the back of the rear parking lot? I just wanna know where, I know it's gonna be located to the front of the lot. Just, I mean, is the back of the lot gonna be for future development, or?
yes, it's probably just roughly, going off this drawing, it's probably about 300 feet or so, and based on that is the, let me check the plat measurement, I can tell you about how far back it'll go. So just for reference, whenever you're going up that green line, it kind of juts out to the right, that's about 348 feet. So just a little bit south of that is where, kind of the limits of this development.
Other questions?
I have a question. The site plan, your sheet EX1, does not show the driveway entrance to the KFC, I believe, which would be in Lot 4, Block 2. Is that more or less in line with the first driveway entrance into the subject property we're looking at here? My concern is just about cross,
Coming off Bandera.
yeah, it previously been concerned, there were the KFC in Lot 4, and then the further adjacent wash tub had some cross-access easements. And, the cross-traffic going through there and, traffic coming onto Bandera, I'm just a little bit concerned about where that is in relation to, coming off of Bandera, that we're gonna bottleneck and, have some cross-access issues across that driveway.
And I do not have the site plan for the other side here in front of me, but I believe that the way we have it laid out is where the access points would line up, so that way for each one of the driveways we have, the adjacent lot would kind of line up with the ones for this retail site.
Okay.
So who would be the, I mean, the point's a valid one, and is this the right one that's up there? You can move it over a little bit. You could see it better. Can't quite see it.
Just slide the bottom bar.
It's a little bit off the screen, what we're trying to see. Is it not? There we go. So the concern would be that, assuming that the KFC side of the property, entry point for their parking lot, if that matches up with the retail, that looks like it's a matter of, feet off of Bandera Road. And so there's gonna have to be some attention paid to how to have in place some sort of caution for drivers who might be driving across
Right.
to deal with the incoming traffic off of Bandera. Is that gonna be a two-way road right there? That,
Yes, the access coming in would be two-way, and you kind of see how there's that small median there that would help kind of divide traffic between incoming and outgoing.
So is this concrete going over the actual, where the land line is? I mean, is your development over into Lot 6, Block 2? Cutting into traffic?
And I'm assuming you're talking there at the driveway? So, I mean, basically, that's gonna be there's the sidewalk there, and then that's gonna have just the landscape island in that area. So yes, it is on the Lot 6 side.
And who owns that?
And we do have that Lot 6 is shared ingress and egress with the adjacent lots.
Well, I guess my question is, is there one property owner for all these lots, and they're allowing your business here or your center to encroach and go beyond the boundary?
And for that access drive, it's a minimum of 25 feet, so we do have the adequate drive aisle where you can have two-way traffic coming in and out. As for the agreement with the different lots, that's something that I would have to look into.
Mr. Chairman?
go ahead, Ron.
And I don't know how this works, about our setback distance, since it is a lot line, if that's going to play into be too close to the,
And that's something I would have to look into.
Mr. Chair,
Yes, please.
so tonight, the commission is voting on, this is an item for approval for a site plan, building design, exterior lighting, and signage, is that correct?
That is right.
Is there the opportunity to get a full presentation besides what's being provided tonight on the documentation of explain, in full detail, unless I'm missing something here, because I see that city staff is approving, but is there an opportunity to get some type of verbal detailed presentation of an overview of this particular item?
So first off, I'd say, just to clarify, staff is reviewed and put forward a recommendation to us to consider. It's our authority on which, we vote to approve, so staff has reviewed and offered their assessment. This is the opportunity for that. If we as a commission are not satisfied with the information or feel there's some things incomplete, we certainly can delay action on it, or we can include in a motion a stipulation that a particular issue be addressed or considered with city staff. Remember that our actions here by ordinance are to ensure that things comply, proposals comply with city code. And if we have questions, we certainly have the ability to, request that things be addressed. But this is a complete proposal, put it that way. So if we don't have a response that we are certain about, that we can roll into a motion, include in a motion, that a particular matter be addressed with that discussions with city staff. But as you saw from the assessment from city staff, this is by and large, except for a particular sign issue, fully compliant with what our code says.
Sir, my thought is if we could get some type of presentation that gives us the overall view of, I know this is great documentation as well, but an overall view or perspective. It seems like, we're hearing tonight some dialogue about access to the property, but also, when we're talking about the building design and the lighting and such, I have a concern there as well. Some type, unless, the commission feels comfortable with it without some type of presentation, then so be it, but I just wanted to put it out there.
Sure. Other thoughts, questions?
Mr. Chairman, on the face of the building, I see we have some rock. What colors are above the rock and what is the material?
This is sheet, which one is this? A201.
This is limestone veneer.
Where does it say that?
If you look on the A201 east elevation, item number 2,
Yep.
just up above the finished floor, 100-foot mark, it says stone veneer, and then there's a key on the right side, material, legend, color. It mentions,
I see it.
yeah,
And also I have a couple of color elevations that if y'all would like to see that, I can.
Sure, why don't you send
pass
that
those
around?
around.
You don't, thank you. Do you know, sir, on all these decorative lightings that are on every single pillar, not too very in-depth here, are those all just straight down lighting?
I would have to check, I believe we have some of the lighting details that
Wait a minute.
attached to the wall, I'd have to check the detail we have for that. But in general, the building itself, it's kind of as you can see from that picture, it's kind of the earth tones, the browns, and it's got those limestone kind of columns between the different buildings, and then you'll see the metal seam awnings as well for the different tenants that are shown on there.
yeah, actually, that was one of my notes, was I believe that we generally require full cutoff lights.
Right.
And
So-
it appeared, one of the lighting fixtures did not appear to meet that
Right, so
requirement.
that's a perfect example, Mario, for example, with the lights, that we would simply require that it be fully compliant with our code,
Yeah, the type
which
B,
might require a change.
yeah, the type B light on sheet
B,
EL 200 does not appear to be a cutoff.
That looks like the ones that are on the,
Yeah, those appear to be the ones on the front elevation. It's kind of between the awnings, about head height or so. These, Mr. Chairman, they're like right there.
Yeah. Decorative.
It's a little grainy, but that could be the printout.
So the, switching subjects here, the color that's represented here on the exterior of the building, is that two-tone coloring. Is that what's planned at the moment, or is it?
Yes.
So I think I would draw attention, or at least seek feedback from folks. This is, I don't know the formal name for these colors, I didn't find it in here, but sort of an avocado green, it looks like, and a tan. Does that represent what?
Well, we'll say that it's more kind of brown, it's like kind of earthy tones, and I will say the greenish, it might be just the way that it printed out, but basically it's kind of that brown and just kind of the kind of earthy tones is kind of
Well,
the way I
is it
describe it.
different? Are there two different colors for that exterior of the building?
Yes.
So help us, if it's noted in here, we should know what that is, because I would have to say that from my perspective and how we've operated in the past, that the green in particular would not fit with the design standards we seek to follow for the city in terms of earth tones fitting with the hill country design type.
So I'm looking at on A201 on the right-hand side, there's a material and color legend.
Yep.
And then it's got the PT-1, 2, and 3 and 4.
I can't read that.
Because it's got for the
Believe it
buildings
was
on
buff,
the end.
Burlap, peppercorn, and well-bred brown.
Those are trade proprietary, no doubt, right?
Yes.
What do folks think, feedback regarding the color scheme as represented here?
Mr. Chair, I don't, as far as the color scheme, I don't, if these are the right four colors, I don't see any type of green in here. Burlap, peppercorn, all seem kind of a tannish color. I'm not sure what believable buff is. That would be my only question there. Now, the well-bred brown, I guess, would be brown, but
I do use Sherwin-Williams colors a lot. I think peppercorn is somewhat green, but I can't quite recall the exact term.
oh, really?
I think that, well, let me, before we go on with that, other comments or questions?
Chairman, if we could determine that that green is really a brown, it would help.
Well, there's an issue that would perhaps require some more information before I think the commission would be willing to sign off on, at least that portion of this. I think there's elements of this that we would be happy to, it sounds like we would be happy to take action on, as if the sentiment is there. But that may be something that needs some clarification because of the significance of the color of the exterior for presentation and fit with the overall city design standards. So that may be something we ask you to come back to us about, that element of it.
Okay, yeah, that's something that'll be easier for us to verify and provide that information.
Mr. Chair, may I ask?
Yes,
the
go ahead.
gentleman, Have you done other work here in Helotes, other buildings, or is this the first?
I believe this is the first one that we have done with this for a retail building.
I don't, is Ernest the right person to ask, Mr. Chair? Just curious to find out if this color scheme is, do we have this somewhere else in Helotes, or is this unique?
The exterior color scheme?
Yes, that what we're talking, the avocado green, my thought has always been that, or from what we've seen in recent times, is we do our best to keep within the uniform color scheme of Helotes, which is the neutral colors and such. And I'm just asking to find out if this is in that same line. And this could be a follow-up, I guess, as you're saying, Mr. Chair.
Sure.
But that's the thought I have, because I know that when you're in our town, and I know that we have next to the Walmart, there seems to be a structure that's similar to this, that's there. And I'm just trying to compare apples to apples right now. It's, because this is small tenants in a row, and if you guys know what I'm talking about, I'm not trying to bring another property onto the table, but I'm trying to compare that to this. And That's relatively new, I believe. And so I'm thinking in my mind, are we following that same template, if that was a good template for us to use?
Right, I think what, I can't put my finger on it at the moment, but we've typically followed what is laid out in the city's design standards, which speak to the hill country design.
Absolutely.
We don't actually, and I don't think it would be appropriate for us to mandate particular colors, though we do allow for the ability, some flexibility, but also for this commission to ensure that it is fitting with what we would all deem, by virtue of experience and our own judgment, hill country feel to it.
Yes, sir.
And so that's not to say there's not variation, and there probably could drive around the city and find some versions of green out there, right? But at least as it's presented here, where the two anchor tenants of this structure would be in that very distinctive green color as we're looking at it, I think that's something we would want some greater clarity about. And for all we know, it'll just maybe the way it printed, you know?
That's
Mr.
right. It
Commissioner,
could
that-
be that. I mean, is that correct, sir? It could be, this is not a true proof of what it could be?
Right, and that's where the intent was for it to be like the browns, kind of that color palette. So I think that the way it printed might be,
Right.
have a little bit of a greener hue to it.
Jason?
That's all I was gonna say.
Yeah, I mean, I think, and I think we're all on the same page, but I think to be certain, we would want to see something that's more accurate. It's unfortunate only in that, you know, the Sherman-Williams names of the paints are not especially helpful, you know, for us to be able to determine it, so I think we would want to just verify that.
And is that something that could be taken care of at the building permit stage?
Good question, I don't know if that's doable or not. Ernest, do you think that that is something that would be better off having approved here, or do you know if at the permitting stage, or just at the staff review level, that could be handled? I don't know that it would and again, I don't want to assume anything, but if the other elements of this move forward tonight, other than, it would fall under building design, I don't know that would, I would hope it wouldn't hold up planning. I think we're all generally on the same page here. I think you understand what our issue is.
Right, and that's something for the paint colors. I mean, that'll be something easily to give you a sample, to show exactly what it is. It's kind of a true color, so
Right.
that's something easy to resolve.
Yeah, and I don't think, I would hope it wouldn't delay anything on your end, and I think this is just, us wanting, you know, to ensure that we're, approving something that we know what we're approving.
Right.
Simplest way to put it. So I think if people are ready and comfortable,
Mr.
we can
Chair,
do a motion. Jeff, go ahead.
I guess I have a problem with the layout here. And maybe Jason or Ernest can help me clarify this for me, but is the part to the right side of the building there, where there's a concrete curb with shrubbery and things to the right of the building that's encroaching past the property line, is that actually part of the complex here, or does the building cut off, you know, that have to be 10 foot away from that easement or the property line there? I just want to know, for my own knowledge, if that part is part of this. Part of it.
Well,
To me, it's encroaching.
well, I think, every property, you know,
That a structure? Are we considering that a structure? Because the 10-foot building setback line, the basic of the structure.
Is it-
unless-
Ernest, it is a 10-foot setback for this zone?
Yes, but
Okay.
now this road here is private, isn't it gonna be private? It's not gonna be public right?
Yeah, it's a private road, so basically just to provide access to the couple of lots throughout the site.
I guess it's a 10-foot is applicable to a building structure only. Isn't that, did you say that was landscaping, or what is that?
Yes, basically because
You can approach it, please, thanks.
black line here, that's your building, this is a 5-foot sidewalk, so in that case, then that's 8 feet or so, I mean, it's wider than 5 feet from that sidewalk, so this is actually your building right here, the rest of all this and over there, that's just concrete
So
sidewalk.
the issue might come up is, you know, we've got that, obstruction of vehicular pedestrian traffic regulation, if the structure impacts that, then that would be an issue.
But that would be reviewed, would that be this body that makes that determination?
Well, on the building setbacks, that would be the building official.
So are we assuming that the Lot 6 property line is more than 10 feet away from the wall of the building?
Yes, that is correct.
Yes.
That is a 10-foot setback on the side of commercial?
Well, the front has a 10-foot building setback requirement. There is no side yard unless it's a corner lot. And
Okay, so
on the
there-
right of way.
Okay.
But even at that, you cannot do landscaping on somebody else's property, can you?
Well, that's true, but isn't it like that's a shared access easement, right? So it pretty
Yes,
much
Lot
belongs
6
to-
is shared access.
And it's
pretty
private,
much It's,
right? I mean, I'd emphasize that, it's private, correct?
yes, sir.
If there's a shared access agreement, you can't build on that lot, is that correct? Like, no one can, other than, building a street, building a curb, building a sidewalk, such things that would assist in the shared access.
Well, and also
Can't build a structure.
for the access, we still have I believe that's a 25-foot drive, so for access, you still easily have two-way traffic that can go up and down that private drive.
And because there's a shared agreement, presumably, landscaping would be shared under the maintenance of landscaping would be under some shared agreement between the various property owners of the
Yes, I mean,
lots.
depending on the agreement, I mean, it could be, I mean, it goes down to the language of that. It could be that Lot 5 maintains that area just based on the agreement, but it could be multiple people involved in that shared access agreement.
Mr. Chairman?
Yes, Joe.
We have a situation over in Cedar Springs where we gave some property to the city, but the city gave us the right to maintain it. And it seemed to me this would fall into that kind of category, where there'd be an agreement between the property owners as far as this landscaping area. And we make an agreement that you maintain the landscaping and what our each responsibility laid out clearly. I would think that would be the way to handle that.
Right, but the city would not be involved with that because
That's
this is
right.
private.
Right, exactly. But how do you approach it from this point right now? How would you approach this as far as two owners making an agreement? We wouldn't have to make a decision on that, right?
Correct. Right, and there is a existing agreement of some type.
Yes, I mean, there will be, as the different owners come in, there will be that agreement for the access and also the utilities and landscaping that go through that area. But also for that island that we keep talking about, that's been on our site plan whenever it's gone through the staff for review, and I'm not aware of any other comments that we received during their review of the plan.
I'd like to raise one other issue, switching subjects before we put a motion out there, and that is if you all notice that the proposed sign, monument sign that will be down on Bandera Road is a bit larger than that is permitted by code. Though we have the ability to allow overage of, 20% or so? 25%, excuse me, and it's nowhere near that over. It's maybe, I think, was it 10 feet over thereabouts? And so we would just need to stipulate in our motion that we, assuming people are comfortable with the sign, that we would allow for the sign to exceed code, but it is well below the allowable 25% overage. I believe it was 145 that's allowed, and this one's 155. So it's close.
Is this,
Alternatively, if the commission doesn't agree with that, you could ask for the sign to be reduced.
is this decision to also include the sign?
Yes, that's part of tonight.
Okay, so, we need to look at the landscaping also.
Right, so that is on, there was, and find it in here.
Okay.
It was here.
It doesn't appear there's any landscaping on the
Okay.
drawing.
So to clarify, this is, everybody should find, there is the sign image on here. It's the next to last page, it's not labeled otherwise.
Doesn't appear there's any
So
landscaping.
there doesn't appear, as he points out, to be landscaping, so there would need to be a landscaped monument sign to be added around the base of the sign.
Okay.
And we would just stipulate that, it's stipulated as part of our code, and it would just need to be added. It's not affecting the sign per se, but at the base to add landscaping.
And we do have that island where we probably have a couple of feet on each side where we could do some planting on either side, because in that,
In your sheet L1, you show landscaping at the base of the sign.
Where?
yes, it's,
In the yellow.
Oh, the highlighted. Yeah, okay, point taken.
Mr. Chair, I have one more question here, as far as numbering here. This here, in the actual, agenda item says, Lot 5, Block 2, which is what's stated there, and then the private drive is Lot 6, and next to that is Lot 4. Ernest, if you could go back one page. Over here, it says Lot 6. Lot 7 is the part of the private drive, and Lot 4
Well,
is next to that.
sorry to interrupt, I will say that that's a earlier iteration of the plat. Our plat that is soon to be recorded does have the lots that match the site plan. So that green area is Lot 5, the drive aisle is part of Lot 6, and so on. So I believe this was a preliminary exhibit that showed the lot numbers that don't match up to the site plan.
Ernest, did we approve the second plat? Because I don't remember this plat here.
Yeah, I think we have a final rendering. It's, I have a digital copy on my computer I can go get, but I think there were some, the lot numbers changed. And we should have gotten the plat recorded, I think hopefully today or tomorrow, but it was, let me see if I can dig it up, man. Look for it.
'Cause I don't remember replatting it. Did we?
I don't recall.
Because also too, I have one here that was a more recent one where what we showed for what went in with our site plan package, and it does have the lot numbers that match the site plan if you would like to see it.
What's the date on that?
The print date I have is October 12th.
This year?
Yes.
Okay, so this one's a year, the one,
And this
That's
one's,
from last year.
the one with the highlighted green is not executed.
it's not
Not signed,
executed and
so-
it's a year old.
Yeah. So
And this one that we have here, I think should match the one that's being recorded. So if anybody would like to look at this one, I'll,
Pass that around real quick.
Well, Ernest is double checking that, and we can take a look at this. I'd like folks to think about a motion here,
What's the difference in it?
pointing out, at least as the discussion has evolved, that the two issues that would need discussion or need
Right.
stipulation, one would be regarding the signage
Change
being
the
a little
number,
bit
didn't change
larger.
the border.
Correct.
And the second is, if it's the commission's will or sense to hold off on the building design portion of this approval item till we can verify the accuracy of the color of the exterior of the building. And we would imagine, I would expect that we would do that at the meeting occurring next month, which would be December the 5th, so it would be 4 weeks from now.
can we confirm the lights are cut off as well?
And we can confirm the lights are cut off, and actually, we can enroll that into this motion, that the lighting be fully compliant with code. I'm passing around here,
Mr.
well, this has got
Chairman,
the same date on it, though. 11/11
Mr. Chairman, is that
16.
drawing according to the plats approved?
Say that again?
Is that drawing according to the plats as approved?
Well, he's double checking, or we gotta wait for Ernest, but this actually represents, again, this is not executed, but it represents, correct, matches the site plan. We're gonna just double check what Ernest finds. Appreciate you being here and answering all these questions. and
oh, no
helpful to us.
problem. And just a quick question, as you're formulating that motion, just from my understanding, so the color thing, is that something that would push this to the following month's planning
It
commission, or
would
is that something?
push, if we do that, it would
Yeah.
push the building design and only the building design aspect of this to the next meeting.
But I guess, and that would be the follow-up question, is that something that could be resolved during building permitting, so we can go and get the site plan approved and then move forward to the building permit?
I think the commission would like to have the opportunity to review the color itself and satisfy itself that the color fits with what.
And is that something that we could submit as a supplement, like if we sent y'all something tomorrow, or would it still push it all the way? Because I guess
We have to
that,
check with the city administrator on the process for that, but I do believe we would need to act separately. But again, it wouldn't delay site plan approval,
okay,
but it would delay the approval of the design, building design. And I understand that you would like the, the assurance of getting it approved, but, I mean, the tenor of the discussion focuses here on the coloring as opposed to any other element of the design. I know you need to wait for final approval, but.
Mr. Chair, as far as this development goes, the development itself, strip center, really doesn't need any type of zoning or anything. I mean, I know it's in the B3, so we're just gonna have to approve each individual tenant that goes into it as a
Potentially, right? Potentially.
strip center itself.
As a retail, right, retail is
Retail
allowed.
center is, okay.
I think they would want it was a non-conforming use.
Right, if it wasn't automatically dictated by the schedule of uses. If it was non-conforming, if it required council approval.
Or a sign.
Oh, yeah, well, signs, we always see the signs. Hang on.
I wonder, I guess it's kind of an earnest question, can they proceed? I mean, it looks like they've gotten fairly far along with construction documents for their building. I mean, it's a question for Ernest, I'm just wondering if they, can they be issued a permit, with the stipulation that we have to come back and approve the final colors? I mean, I don't think there's any issue with the overall plan, the overall
That
form
one
of the
should
building.
hold back construction or start a construction.
Right, I mean, as long as, let's be clear, we could double check. You find it, Ernest?
Oh.
Thank you. That's final? Are these copies?
Yeah, they're just copies.
We have one question here for you, Ernest.
So, we're discussing, the concern about the colors, and that we would need to approve them at the next hearing next month, and whether or not they could kind of proceed with a building permit with a stipulation that colors, the overall color, final color and finish would be approved by, this board at the following meeting. That I don't think that would affect them proceeding with, beginning approval for construction documents for the overall building and obviously the site work as well.
The building process, so that would be fine. You can submit those and we can begin the review process.
Okay.
And if there's any kind of, we can just hold it until we get everything, as you move forward with your proposal.
okay.
Sounds reasonable.
Yeah, that was my biggest concerns. We'll be more than happy to clarify that. We just want to make sure things keep moving forward.
Okay.
Yeah. We don't want to hold you up any more than necessary, but we do want to, fulfill our duty to verify this
Right.
type of thing, so. All right, so it seems like we have a general sense of the direction to go. Everybody's seen that, and Jeff, you saw this, that seems to be all right. Ron is gonna hold us up a little bit here again.
I was just verifying that there's the signage that there have in ghost printing here above each tenant. there any dimensions on that, or is that just reference?
Oh, if you're looking at A201, the word tenant, that's just for reference right now, because the tenants haven't been chosen, so that's just a
Okay, no,
basic
okay.
placeholder.
You didn't, I was just making sure there was no dimensions on there we are approving.
Okay.
Right,
That was,
good point.
Yeah, and we also have a call out that says future signage by tenant, so as the tenants come in, that would be approved at that time.
all right.
Jason, you wanna try it?
Sure, so we're approving this.
Less the color.
That's the color. Okay.
color finish With the full cutoff and the sign.
Okay. So, Mr. Chairman, I'll make a motion.
Go right ahead.
In the matter of discussion of an action on a request by Abiso Helotes LP for approval of a conceptual design plan for Helotes Point Retail Center located on a 4.498 acre lot described as Lot 5, Block 2, within the Bandera Oak subdivision and addressed generally as 12522 Bandera Road, Helotes, Texas 78023, including but not limited to the following site plan: building design, exterior lighting, and signage. With the stipulation that full cutoff lighting is provided, that the colors will be approved by this board at a future meeting.
And just the sign being
Oh.
As submitted.
And the sign is approved as submitted with the overage, which I think we calculated at approximately 7%.
So did we say 10%?
Approximately
7%.
7%,
Approximately 10?
but it's as submitted.
Yeah,
And to be clear, it's the monument sign
Monument sign, yes.
oh, landscape.
it's already in there.
Oh, it's, okay, fine, oh, that's right.
Is there a second on the motion? Richard, so further discussion, if any.
I'm sorry, you said the sign was as submitted,
Yes.
Correct.
Well, no,
size
10%.
and all?
Say that again?
Size and all?
Correct. In other words, allowing for the overage of approximately 7%, which is within our,
I have one question.
hang on one second. Richard, go
We
ahead.
mentioned, did it need any, anything around it for
The landscaping?
landscaping?
It's in there.
It's in there,
I
okay.
missed it. I missed it the first time.
One question, about the retention pond. Did this tell us where the retention is gonna be located? Where on this
Detention
property?
pond he's asking
Yes.
about.
This site does drain to the, where you see that 1280 at the top right-hand corner. There's a water quality and detention pond in that area. There are inlets within the parking lot that collect that flow and convey it to that pond from this site plan.
Other comments?
Last question.
Motion, yes. Keep it on to the motion if you would then.
Are you all responsible for the sidewalk up front?
Are you talking about along Bandera Road?
Correct.
Yes, that will be constructed with this site plan.
Thank you for responding to our questions and working with us on this to get this moving forward. The motion is to approve the request by Abiso Helotes for the conceptual design plan for Helotes Point Retail Center located on Lot 5, Block 2 within the Bandera Oaks subdivision, generally located at 12522 Bandera Road, including site plan, building design, exterior lighting, signage, with the stipulations that the lighting be full cutoff lighting, that the signage is permitted as submitted with the approximately 7% overage, and that the building design approval does not include the color and finish of the building, that will come back for this body to consider, but the other elements of the building design are being approved. That second was Richard. So all in favor of that motion, signal aye.
Aye.
Opposed? This motion is approved, and we'll make a note from city staff regarding the need to put the color item back on this, our agenda for hopefully December. We can get that ironed out and just verify
Okay.
the coloring. Thank you very much. Can we hang on to those color,
Yes,
I don't know
that's
where they
fine.
went, but they're here somewhere.
They're right here.
They're over here.
All right, gentlemen, thank you for your time.
You can have
Thank
this one
you.
back,
Thank
sir.
you.
There's one, take one of those back if you would, thanks. We're gonna hang on to this one. Ernest, I'm gonna pass this down to you that you can share so that staff, other staff knows.
This is green space here. Somewhere in that green space.
All right, item number, where are we?
No, it's,
We're on item 7.
yes, item 7.
Discussion and action on revisions to municipal code of ordinances, chapter 66 signs. So, I wanted to make a proposal, suggestion for how to approach this. This is the second or third month we've had this before us. And city staff had pulled together some data, which I neglected to bring with me tonight, but I don't think it's directly necessary right now. You should have found in your packet roughly 25 pages of the sign ordinance, which was last approved, or last revised, I should say, in the spring of 2013. So if you recall, every few years we tried to revisit this. I would like to, in looking towards the December meeting, I'd like to divvy up these pages, assigning a few pages to everybody to review. We have some suggestions and verbiage and edits, some substantive, but most of it non-substantive language cleanup that's come to us from city council as well as from the mayor. That's a good starting point. And so what I'd like to propose, and I've got a sort of sketched it out myself, to give everybody certain sections to take a look at and come back in December and tell us if you, based on your reading of it, if you would recommend the changes that the mayor and the council have suggested to us, or other changes that aren't necessarily called out here that you think need to be addressed. And that can be a good starting point for discussion. I don't know that we will finish it off in December, but if we tackle several sections each meeting, I think we can get through this in not too much time. I would add that, as you recall from previous discussions that we've already begun on this topic, that there is the matter of, say, entry signage, which requires perhaps a more lengthy discussion and figuring out how to incorporate that into the code, as well as if, and city administrator would probably be useful for this next part, is if there are additional areas that staff has seen and that the city has seen in terms of signage that we need to think about including in here, that things weren't necessarily thought about or envisioned when we did this in 2013. So does that sound reasonable to folks?
Reasonable.
So if you take a look, and here's what I've just, I was gonna ask you all to do. It starts on, I'm not going by page numbers, but by the ordinance numbers. So we're in chapter 66, and it starts with section 1, 66-1. I'd like to ask Jason here if he would be the lead person on sections 66-1 through 66-21. Okay. Joe, I'd like you to take the lead, please, on 66-22, which starts on page 5, 66-22 through 66-42, which is on page 8, I believe. Mario, if you would please take 66-43 through 66-45. Richard, if you could do 66-46 through 66-48. Ron, if you would do 66-49 and 66-50. Jeff, 66-51 through, hang on here, 66-51 through 66-52 through section E. In other words, the bottom of page 19. So it divides up that one. I'll take the rest. And when we next see Mike McLaughlin, we will say something special for him. since he's missing out on this fun. But hopefully that's not too onerous. It gives everybody roughly, 2-3 pages to work with. And again, the goal is to review what suggestions have come to us from the mayor and council, as well as to point out any other changes you would recommend based on your reading of it. And at the next meeting, I'll make sure that the city administrator knows and that the assistant to the city administrator knows so that they can be here too if they'd like some input to the process. Sound good? All right. That would bring us to the close of the agenda for this evening, I believe, yes? It does. So, Ron, would
Chairman.
you like to make a motion?
May I make a motion to adjourn?
Is there a second? All in favor of adjourning, signal aye.
Aye.
Opposed, we stand adjourned.